The Twin Dilemma is the final episode of season 21 of 1984's run of Doctor Who, and it's generally considered to be the worst episode of Doctor Who ever written. And amongst one of the many things this episode gets wrong is introducing the new Doctor, Colin Baker, to the role. A Doctor's first episode is arguably the most important episode that any actor can have who takes the role. Colin Baker really lucked out with having this as his first episode. But I try and see the good in pretty much any Doctor Who episode, Love and Monsters notwithstanding, but it's honestly really difficult to find any reason for the Twin Dilemma to exist. Colin Baker takes a lot of flack for being the worst Doctor ever. However, you can't pin everything that's wrong with a tenure down to the actor. A lot of the things that were bad about Doctor Who towards the end of its tenure carry on a good 2 years after Colin Baker was fired. I'm probably one of the few people who can say they've watched all the Colin Baker stories who weren't around in the 80s to watch them when they first went out. I can see why people would have taken an instant dislike to Colin Baker's Doctor. The thing is, that was kind of the point. In the same way that you've got certain characters now in TV, such as Dr. Gregory House or Hannibal Lecter at the moment, who are dislikable characters but still interesting. The basic idea was the same with Colin Baker's Doctor. You weren't supposed to like him, but you were still supposed to be interested. Unfortunately, that concept falls down when you don't have good directors and good writers. Don't get me wrong, a lot of the Colin Baker stories are actually pretty okay. Some of them are actually really quite good. They all sort of more felt like they were just kind of going with it without any kind of characterization behind the stories. They were more just a sort of random series of things occurring with no seeming consequences at the end of the day. Attack of the Cybermen is what the Twin Dilemma should have been. It introduces Colin Baker's character and makes it quite interesting at the same time. You've got a bit of the mania that's still there with his character, but at the same time it's not over the top and in your face as much. Also, I'm going to show you a clip now from Attack of the Cybermen. For those of you who quickly don't know, the BBC own everything to do with Doctor Who, all the commercial rights, and you should totally go and buy the Attack of the Cybermen DVD. And I dare you not to watch it and go, okay, that's pretty cool.
Not now, Perry.
Doctor!
Ah, how'd you do, Constable?
He's got a gun.
I'm not lying, baby. Hey, look, I'm comfortable in that hole. Let me help you out.
Even I couldn't miss from this range. Never do such a stupid thing again. I could have killed you.
Believe you.
Don't patronize me.
I wouldn't dare.
That's a pretty badass Doctor right there. Also, if you've never seen any Colin Baker episodes before, then there is one thing that cannot have escaped your attention, and that is that god-awful costume. It's certainly handy if you ever want to go to any Pride marches dressed as the Doctor. The last serial of season 22 is called Revelation of the Daleks. It's dark, it's interesting, it's compelling, and it uses the Doctor correctly. Eric Sarwood, the writer of the episode, specifically wrote in a scene about blue being the official colour of mourning on the planet Necros. The reason for this is so that Colin Baker had to wear a blue cape over his usual costume. Because as Eric Sarwood very rightly put it, the costume that Colin Baker is wearing detracts from any kind of dramatic potential his character may have. A lot of the writing in Colin Baker's tenure was pretty poor. Attack of the Cybermen, The Two Doctors, Revelation of the Daleks, all these are good. Then you've got Vengeance on Varos and Time Lash. You just don't want to live anymore. Directing of the series also wasn't that great. A lot of domestic BBC back in the 80s was multicam. Basically the idea being that you can't take a lot of time on shots, you just sort of got to get them done, and if they're bad, go with it anyway. As a consequence of this, a lot of the directors didn't really bother to be creative when it came to sets or angles or what they would capture where. So as a consequence, what you've got basically is a lot of recording on brightly lit white backgrounds. I mean, what kind of idiot does that? Anyway, let me know down below what you think about Colin Baker's Doctor. Do you have a favourite story? Do you hate the loss of them? Is there any particular redemption that you can see in the Sixth Doctor's reign? Also, interesting question for more hardcore fans. Would you have preferred to have seen the alternative season 23? Hope to see you soon. Start watching.